Hello, welcome to another live edition of the ONG Strike Zone. I think I got everything squared away there so everybody can see everybody. Everybody's in the screen properly. I'm Brian Fulford. Up top on the screen, you see Marcus Green and Kelvin Rozier. Um, Good to be on with the Rattler Nation and those in the HBCU diaspora that are choosing to come in and join the show. Marcus, Kelvin, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Excited about upcoming events for this weekend. Basketball starting. It's getting a little cold. I'm not too excited about that, but it is what it is.
Hey, have y'all got any snow yet in Delaware?
No. These last few years,
you
it's
ain't
been
start shoveling.
No shoveling yet. Huh?
I haven't had to shovel in a couple of years. It's been very kind.
Well, yeah, we caught it. We caught it. It was so cool.
Right.
It was a little cool this morning. We're here in Orlando, so I don't know what's it looking like there in Tally, Kelvin.
About the same as it is in Orlando. It's fall. The fair is here. Anytime the fair come, you're gonna get that cold. That little cold spell. But it ain't in the 30s, so it's good. It's good weather.
Okay.
Oh wow!
What's that?
I just noticed something. Apparently, when you go live on Twitter,
Yeah.
the little icon glows and there's a side box that says live on, well, it says live on X. I still call it Twitter. And our icon is flashing.
Where on Twitter?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So it's like a bat signal.
Oh yeah. I've seen that. Okay. Hey, yeah. We try to do a little something, Marcus. Thanks for paying attention. It's all good. Make sure everyone follows us on Twitter or X at ONG Strike Zone. That's also where you can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We are a part of the Black College Sports Network, which you can make sure you're following at my BCSN1, the number one. And this I know on Twitter, on X, we're broadcasting there as well as on Facebook there. We even have our own YouTube page now for direct, easy access to the show at ONG Strike Zone. And hopefully some of you caught our Monday night special. We aired it live there and on Facebook and Twitter. And, I did repurpose it and broadcast it out on Tuesday afternoon. So we're just trying to give Rattler Nation as much as possible. Just to kind of
got to give the people what they want.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We got to give the people what they want. They asked for it, so it's just more work for your boy. But I know. I pray it'll pay off. I pray it'll pay off. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. There you go. So that's how you can support the show, people. So that's a great time to drop a plug in. You can support the show right there. You can hit that square payment there. You can drop anything that you'd like. You can also hit the Cash App, the JBN Cash App, or you can always, if you're on YouTube watching on our Jericho Broadcast Networks page, you can also drop a super chat tip as well. So this is going to be a heavy basketball themed show because it's November 1, fellas, which to me is great because it's basketball season. As a basketball coach for some 20 years, I love November. I sometimes am a little antsy about it, depending upon the kind of team that I'm gonna be coaching. But there's excitement. There's excitement. College basketball starting up. Our Rattlers are hosting or putting together an event tonight. That's all I'm gonna say about it. Because I can't see it. I just found out about it. But we'll work on that. Hopefully, we'll progress to a point where that kind of thing is made visible for fans who are not in Tallahassee to be able to see, so that you too can catch the buzz and excitement about our men's and women's teams. But
that's right.
Yeah, we are going to talk to a couple of guests We're excited later on at the bottom of the hour to introduce to you former Rattler, a women's basketball alum from 2016, Olivia Antilla. See, Liv, I got it right. I got the name right. She had to help me out with the pronunciation to make I got it right. So I know she's in the group. And so Olivia, if you've been paying attention, following her on social media, Live for Hoops. I love the name, by the way. Great idea to come up with Live for Hoops. Make sure you're following that page on YouTube. But she's gonna be our hoops correspondent, and so we're excited. First year leading the women's team, and then of course we got our good friend of the program, Coach McCullum, who we think will have an hour number 2. He said he's going to try to make it. It just depends on how much stuff they have him doing with the thing up at Lawson tonight. So, love all our coaches for taking time to be on with us. Coach joined us on Monday night. Even joined the Dr. Cavill's show on Tuesday. So hopefully, the Coach Simmons on different shows here on the network. So we love our coaches, all of our coaches. So we love it. Let's go ahead before we get to talking about this upcoming game in Alabama and maybe kind of put a bow on the game in which FAMU won the up the SWAC East against Prairie View. Let's make sure we hit up a few people. You guys go ahead in the chat rooms. Go ahead and post maybe your favorite moment from the game. What impressed you? Maybe some grades you would give. I think, Kelvin, you did a great synopsis on Monday, kind of talking about it's one of the more complete performances that we've seen. So, yeah. All right, let's go to the roll call here. First up, we got Tremaine Ellis jumping in. Big homecoming win, 7-1 on the season. Continue to go 1-0 every week until we can't no more. Well said.
Yes, sir.
Coach was very adamant about making sure to understand the importance of going 1-0. Bull is still celebrating. All right, Bull, come on. It's time to like got the cigar, got the crown. I'm jealous, by the way. But come on now, Bull. We on
Me too.
to what's the saying? We're on to Alabama, on to Huntsville. We gotta stop the celebrating. We on to Huntsville.
Not yet. They gotta stop
yet.
celebrating.
Oh, okay. I got you. Congratulations again, Bull. Recognized by the Rattler Boosters. So congratulations on that. Jimmy Mack, good to see you. It was good to see Jimmy Mack at the tailgate. And had some JSU fans, some folks from Alabama as well that came in, and it's just a good time had by all. Appreciate everybody who came through and stopped by to say hey on the west side of the stadium. Let's keep that going. We'll see everybody for the Lincoln game, and then of course one more win, and we'll see everybody for SWAC Championship. Coach Rossi, yeah, good to see you, Coach. Thanks for coming in and checking us out. Mary 305. Hey, how you doing, Mary?
From the 305.
From the 305. Meredith, good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
What's up, Meredith? See you in Huntsville.
Family comes in. Good to see Kenneth.
What's up,
Rozier.
Kenneth? Good to see you.
Slight relation, maybe. You might know somebody on the show. Montre Bennett. You still feeling good, Montre? That's good to know. Good to know. There she is, Tamara T. Good to see you.
No kakalaki.
Glad you made it in tonight. We know you would. Melissa Wilson checking in. Good evening, Melissa. All the way from Tallahassee, checking in.
No, I think I think she might be up north.
Maryland? Oh, hold on. There she is. She told where there it is. And she's in Maryland. Woo, 43 degrees. You can have that.
Yeah, it's about the same up here.
Yeah, you can have that, Melissa. Sorry about that. Hey, James Austin, we want that trophy. Yes, indeed.
You're damn straight.
That trophy. Got a few more. Hey, the first trophy though is that Florida Classic trophy. That's the first trophy we got to collect. All right. So and then we'll go get that SWAC trophy. So let's keep our priorities in check. Let's be specific. You know,
Man,
Coach
the
said we
man
got to
said the
go.
trophy. He didn't say which one.
Which one? Okay. Well, I'm just saying the first one.
We fans,
is,
man. We want it
right,
all.
we
We
want
want
it
the
all.
smoke.
Okay. All
we
right.
ain't the one got to cash them checks, as Coach say.
Yeah, exactly. We ain't got to cash them. Ashton Harris, good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Glad to see you over the weekend as well. Good to see you coming in. Let's see. Chuck Hunt, checking in from Monroe, Louisiana.
What's up, Chuck?
Chuck was with you on the what was it, the watch party there?
Yeah, the silent watch party.
Silent. I like the way you said that. That's exactly what it is. The silent watch party. Yeah.
Yeah, so Chuck and I think I don't know how to pronounce it. Is it Kylan Chavou? I think those are the two on, and folks dropped off, once the sound. I didn't know the sound wasn't working until like just before halftime.
So what? They couldn't hear you? Is that what it was?
They could hear me, but they couldn't hear the sound of the game.
The
You
broadcast.
didn't need to hear what Tiffany. You need to hear what Tiffany and Jay were talking about. Anyway, it's
You need to hear Jay. I mean, on Tip, but not Jay.
Marcus can do.
He wasn't hating too bad.
He wasn't hating too bad. Okay. All right. So you say.
He actually said we should have made the playoffs last year.
Oh yeah, that's revisionist history. We understand we should have made it. I mean, but we know why we didn't. And I told folks that a long time ago. Marcus, good to see you also from this past weekend.
What's up, Marcus?
Kenya Sykes. Hey, Kenya had me about in tears with her Twitter post today. And she was walking around campus taking videos and pictures. And I'm just sitting there like, Kenya, come on. You got me reminiscing. And I feel like I felt like there were some tears in that walk, Kenya. You might have to tell us. I felt like there might have been some tears in that walk that you were doing around campus. From I think she did it on Monday. But
I think that missing Truth Hall might have got her, man.
Yeah, that's the one where I just looked and said, man, that's brutal. That's how I tell people, like when I sit in that press box and I look across the east stands and I just see the rubble of Gibbs Hall, I just I get a lump in my throat because I'm so used to being in that press box and looking over the east stands and I can see Gibbs Hall, and it's not there. It's not there no more. It's just I see rubble, I see dirt. And I'm just kind of like, oh, man. But anyway, thank you, though, Kenya. Michael Road Dog Reed checking in. Houston homecoming.
Just looking out.
Justlookingout.com. Make sure you check out the site. We're working in the background on some things with Mike. So hopefully some of those things can come to fruition. Good to see my boy Tony checking in. Good to see you, Tony. Checking in. Good to see. All right. Kenya said Jay Walker was at their tailgate. All the women were giving him the side eye, huh? Okay.
Side eye, like
what's
up, or side eye, like get out of here.
Going off.
Yeah, might have been both.
Like, what you doing eating out groceries?
Might have been
Go
both.
to Howard. Go use some porta potties at Howard.
He just went to Howard. Terrence Davis said the FAMU High Gym, that's the old FAMU High Gym is gone too, huh?
Yep, the high. It needed to be gone though.
Yeah. All right. Let's for a second talk about this upcoming game. As we're traveling up the road to Alabama A&M to take on the Bulldogs. Of course, they lost 31-16 to Alabama State in the Magic City Classic. This game for the team, one win, one more conference win puts us in that place that we want to be, which is a guaranteed hosting of the SWAC Championship Game. What are some of the talking? Here's my thoughts, guys, and then I'll let you guys jump in here. For Alabama A&M, this is the team that offensively, when I was looking at the SWAC stats, they actually are not far from us in terms of production offensively. But when you go and look at, who they've lost to, this is not a very good team, in my opinion. I know, Kelvin, I'm curious. You thought this was the game that was going to be the challenging one for us. Do you still feel that way? Kelvin, are you there?
I still feel like it could be.
Uh-huh.
And some of the reasons why are because the first time we played with a little chill, the ball is a little harder. It might probably gonna be windy because it's in the mountains or near the mountains. So I'm interested to see how we come out if we're going to get on an early start. And then Maynard is playing for his job at this point. They have nothing else to play for. He wants to finish above 500. He needs a signature win. So I figure he's probably going to throw the kitchen sink. I mean, he could be playing for his job anyway. So and they have enough talent where if we sleepwalking that it can be a challenge. I like the fact that I know Rattler Nation will probably be there, and the 100 will be there. So I'm not as concerned as I was at the beginning of the season because they have not performed. They changed to a different quarterback 2 games ago, and they're 0-2 with him. So
just looking statistically, Alabama A&M in conference games, averaging 26.4 game, which is third in the conference. We are averaging 30.7 in conference games. We played 6 conference games. They played 5. Marcus, what are your thoughts on A&M and your perspective on this team?
Well, I mean, like Kelvin said, they're dangerous. They showed some.
Why are they dangerous?
Well, because they can show some offensive spark. I mean, a couple games ago, I don't know if it was before they made the quarterback switch. Just because they have some offensive spark. I don't know who's injured. I haven't really done a deep dive on their team as of yet. But the other thing is, keep in mind, the last 2 years, we've had to come from behind against them, the same team. And as much as average as they've been,
number
the
one
last
is
2 years.
scoring offense. Yeah, they average 31.8 points a game. They just don't play no defense, so they can be dangerous.
Mm-hmm. And we had to come. Well, the infamous come from behind when Bishop Bonnet ran the winning touchdown. We had all kinds of weird things going on in that game 2 years ago when Xavier popped the ball up in the air for interception. If I remember correctly, I'm trying to think if that's the same game we had.
Yes.
That was that when I want to say Rashawn McKay threw a pick 6. I don't know if it was that game or another one, but there was a pick 6. Like we were marching down the field. And I can't remember if it was that one. And so all kinds of weird stuff going on. They did a fake punt, like deep in their own territory. So, and they played a game. I mean, they were playing a good game up until a certain point. It just switched. And then last year, I mean, the game I came down to Tallahassee, the first quarter for us was like, ugh. And if I remember correctly, and I didn't check before the broadcast, I mean, they had a slight lead at halftime, even though we were coming back. And then we just took over in the second half. So, I mean, in the first quarter last year, they were psyched up, geeked, and we're kind of handed if we get off to a slow start again, which I hope we don't. I hope we get everything taken care of and there's a sense of urgency from the time the folks come out, that they come out the tunnel, that yeah, I mean the potential is there. You never want to sleep on anybody.
No, I
Especially on the road.
Yeah, I get that. On the road, you always got to be playing at your best. It's a noon central kickoff. No, 1 o'clock
1 Central.
1 Central, which is 2 Eastern, an ESPN Plus broadcast. They're 2-3 in conference play. I mean, I look at them as a team that they're either going to win 5 or 6 games. This game would trend towards, if they lose it, you're saying, okay, who are you guys going to beat, going forward? I just want to kind of look at their schedule here thus far, because I think a lot of times we give, okay, so this is the team that they lost those first 3 games. Well, they lost to Vanderbilt. They played that Southern game, and they were kind of floating around back and forth, 2-0. This, it's funny. They're 4-4, and as I look at their schedule, they're kind of lose one, win one, lose one, win one. They had a 2-game winning streak there after homecoming. Then they lost, gave up 45 to Jackson State. Then they turn around and beat Grambling, putting 45 points on Grambling. Then they lose to Alabama State, give up 31. It's like, who is this team? So, I mean, I think our biggest challenge is, as we've been saying and as we've heard Coach Simmons say, continue building on what we just did. This team really needs to continue building. A good start, good quarters, consistent play. Hopefully that secondary can stay hot. I mean, 3 interceptions. We'd like to see that continue. And the running game, we've been averaging 218 is the number over the last 2 games. So that bodes well. And good places, good problems to have, good place to be for us. All right.
Need some style points.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get some
just
style
like
points.
Hey, Coach Simmons mentioned that he did. I love the honesty. He mentioned that he watched the Central game and South Carolina State game on on Thursday, and Central was impressive, and he was like, "Yeah, we need to be impressive." I'll be watching too. I want some style points.
Yeah. Overall, the series breakdown, for those of you who might be interested, FAMU leads the series 15-2. Of course, the last meeting was last year, in which FAMU won 38-25. We, of course, won the last 2 in the SWAC against them. So that's just a little bit of the history. Yeah, we'll see if there's some.
He ain't been barking this week, has he?
No, there's no barking this week. You don't want to bark too loud. He's quiet. He hasn't been barking much at all since that particular moment.
He been more like.
Ashland Aston brings up Alabama A&M lost all the top teams FAMU beat. Yeah, definitely.
We have to be consistent.
Yeah, we got to be consistent.
They're probably going to bring out. I'm sure they probably watched a little bit of Texas Southern to understand what they did. I don't know if they have the talent, but some of the plays on offense and defense, because it seemed like the staggered wide receiver formation gave us issues against Texas Southern. And the first half, their run defense, even though Coach admitted the team wasn't focused, putting as much effort, their run defense was stout in the first half. So they come with a lot of 5-man fronts and doing a lot of different things that could present a challenge. Well, it'll present an opportunity for the coaches and players to show us what they've learned.
Yeah. As we've heard on a couple different fronts, for those of you who are going to the game up in Huntsville, the 100 will be in the building. So it's good to see the band traveling to Huntsville for that contest.
Southern region is going to have a tailgate too that starts at 10 o'clock. $20 at the door.
Where is it at?
Is in the parking lot. Alabama A&M got a very nice area in terms of parking and RVs and tailgating. It's really spread out, really nice.
And I think they just didn't they just open a new basketball arena?
They did.
Yes.
They did. Yeah, they got
I'm
a new
gonna try to
basketball
view that. Yeah, it's right next to the stadium.
Yes, it is. It's nice. All right. So Kelvin will be there. He'll be on site. So when you see Kelvin, make sure you prop him up, get a little picture with him. Kelvin, you still hadn't dumped the other photos. You haven't dumped the photos from homecoming. We were supposed to be able to show people photos from homecoming. You haven't dumped any of them. So I don't know how I'm going to show those today. Just I'm getting on you about that. But anyway, maybe sometime you'll do a.
Hey, maybe now you're gonna come out on TV. You could have told me that before we went live.
I'm sorry, I could have. You're right. That was low. Okay. We're going to come back. We'll talk about the rest of the SWAC season, a big game happening in the West. We'll talk about that coming up. But in our next segment, we'll move over to the hoops, get over to the courts, and we're going to talk to our O&G hoops correspondent and our alum, our women's basketball alum, Oliva Antilla. Will be joining us here in just a moment. So stick in there. Let's get ready to talk some women's hoops. And then at the top of the hour, we'll have the men's coach on. And so we'll kind of get into some hoops talk. So it's November. It's time to talk a little hoops. So let's get our hoops questions together, thoughts, your expectations, your hopes for the season. And then, like I said, a little bit later towards the end of the show, we'll come back and circle back to the football and the rest of the action in the SWAC for week number 10. You're watching the O&G Strike Zone right here on the Black College Sports Network. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
I'm returning to Clinton Paris, and Tampa's my community. I grew up here, went to school here, and my wife and I make our home here. What makes Tampa special are its people. So when I represent someone injured in my community, it's personal. Call my office and speak to a real lawyer and not some referral service. I will fight the insurance companies to get the settlement that you deserve. At the law office of Clinton Paris, we take the pain out of being hurt.
Since 2002, Empowerment Resources, Inc., a nonprofit organization, has empowered more than 1,500 youth and adults in Duval and surrounding counties. Through its programs, Journey into Womanhood, Girls Mentoring, Life Skills for Teens, and Parenting Education Coaching. To get involved with programs, volunteer, or donate, visit www.empowermentresourcesinc.org. Follow us on social media, facebook.com/empowerment.resources and instagram.com/empowermentJAX.
All right, welcome back to the O&G Strike Zone. Marcus got me doing some stuff I hadn't planned on doing here. So let me
Sorry about that.
figure out what's what here. God dog it, Marcus. I just saw your note here. So what did you say you added, Marcus? We're just going to do this live while we're here. What
Graphic for the graphic for the tailgate for Alabama A&M game.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sitting here like, what? So hold on, let me load that up, man, and mess with me. I got my graphics all ready to go here. Um, Want to make sure I properly introduce Olivia and stuff. And man, hold on a second. Da 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 da. Waiting for the things to process. All right. Um, anything come out on social media regarding the Midnight Madness thing that was happening on campus? Anything?
I think there are a couple of
I
Instagram
haven't
posts.
seen anything.
That's what you're talking about, Marcus, right? That thing right there.
Yes.
Okay, there it is. So people can see it real quick. The FAMU National Alumni Southern Region alumni tailgate happening right there. All righty. Appreciate you putting that up there. All right. So let me get ready to introduce our next guest. I want to do it properly here because this young lady, she gets buckets. Not only is she's top 10. That's right. I had to put the graphics together to live. See what I did? This is Olivia Antilla, FAMU graduate, 2016. She's top 10 and count the categories here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least about a dozen categories, not only in minutes played, field goals made, field goal attempts, field goal percentage, 3-point field goals made, 3-point field goal attempted, and the 3-point field goal percentage leader. All right, let's make sure we understand that. Minutes played per game, points per game, player efficiency, effective field goal percentage. She was the leading scorer the 2 years, the 14-15 season, the 15-16 season, offensive player of the year, and she was Miss FAMU Athletics. I didn't know they were doing that, to be honest. But I mean, it's an honor to have. And just in case you were like, what does she look like on the court? Well, there's Liv on the court, out there on the perimeter, about to shake somebody, put a little pump fake and drive to the bucket. And then you can see that Liv can play a little down on the blocks, just in case you're like, oh, she's a perimeter player. Nah, Liv, we go down there and get some rebounds too. So let me go ahead and bring in our guest. And there she is. Our Miss FAMU Athletics, more importantly, our ONG Hoops correspondent, Olivia Antilla. Liv, how you doing tonight? Welcome to the ONG Strike Zone.
I'm good. Thank you guys for having me here.
Hey, it's good to have you on, Liv. Welcome to the team. I love to say that because we're excited to have you share your basketball knowledge, your passion, and all that stuff. And I think it's an exciting time for FAMU women's basketball. Before we get into talking about this team, let's kind of talk a bit about your path to FAMU. You're from Minneapolis, Minnesota, right?
That's
and
correct.
And I think we've got a young lady on the team from the squad that's from Minneapolis, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe
She's from Milwaukee. We have there's a girl from Milwaukee and a girl from Michigan. So we have some Midwest representation, but
okay, I knew it was an M. I knew it was an M. But yeah, talk a little about your story and how you found your way to FAMU.
Yeah, so I started my career in South Dakota and at the School of Mines, which is by like the Black Hills and all that. And then I ended up going JUCO, and I've had a few family friends and family members that went to FAMU. They went there all 4 years, graduated, and there's actually a very large population of FAMU grads in Minneapolis. There's quite a lot. And so it's known and they're represented here. And when I got the opportunity to go on a visit there, I just knew I wanted to be there. I wanted to be at the best historically black college. I wanted to be in Tallahassee and play basketball for this program.
And you were obviously on the teams that were part of the MEAC years. Obviously, we've only been in the SWAC. This is now our third season. What are some fond memories of playing in the MEAC that you have?
Well, the years I was playing was when Hampton was just on their tear. Those years of like they were just unbeatable. They were so good. And
David
then
sits.
yes, a few years later, that's when they exited out because their women's basketball team, they were just so good. Um, all I remember is the biggest thing about playing in the MEAC specifically is when we went to the East Coast, like we would be there for like a week and a half at a time. And I saw someone online being like, oh, they should go back. And I'm like, no, because for being in Tallahassee, we would miss so many classes. Of course, now with online classes, it wouldn't be a big deal, but we got stuck when we were playing Maryland Eastern Shore because they got hit with a snowstorm. So then we got stuck up there even longer. But the MEAC years, it was really good basketball. It was super competitive basketball. A&T, who always has a good program, he's such a great coach. He was running a great ship. Bethune was good. It was just a really talented year, the 2 years that I was playing there.
Yeah, and your senior year, the team went 15-14 overall, 9-7 in conference play. And if I recall, I don't know if you would say was the signature win during those times the Clemson win, the non-conference. That was the December 29th. We went to Clemson, South Carolina, beat them 77-68. Would you call that one? I know we beat Hampton in there too. So you were just talking about how good Hampton was. We went up there and beat Hampton. So what was sort of like, what was the signature win for you during those times?
Both of those. Beating Clemson was so big though, because we went there without our head coach. Our assistant coach had to step up. We were down to 7 players. Like everyone else was injured. So we literally beat them with 7 players and their coach was so mad. And when I went back and watched the game online, their commentators, like everyone just thought it was going to be such an easy win. And then we went in there and we beat them on their home floor. And it was just such a good feeling because they were mad because that was a game that was like a game they were supposed to win and we just weren't going. And then also the Hampton win because we broke their streak of like years of not losing at home and we had beaten them on their home floor. And so that was a really good feeling as well.
Well, what do you know, fellas? We can get some wins with just 7 players. Damn, I didn't know, man. You know what? That's
You have
beautiful.
to have the right 7.
Hey, you gotta have the right 7. I guess.
It matters that 7 is like the 300 from Sparta.
All right. All right, Kelvin, go ahead. Yeah, I know. Jump in there. Let's get it going here with the conversation with Liv. What do you got?
I'm wondering, when did you get into podcasting and what was your major at, fam? Because I've been really impressed with how you've just taken off, man. I've seen you interview coaches from other SWAC schools and players, and you give really, really good content. So where did that seed get planted, and how long have you been doing that?
Thank you for that. I appreciate anyone watching my videos or tuning in at all. But I think I never really made videos or podcasting, but I have very much a love and a passion for talking about basketball because it's such a big part of my life. And so when I watched the SWAC Media Day, I personally felt like I had so many questions unanswered from that I wanted to dig in more because there's new coaches, brand new teams, and I had personal questions. And then the more I was just on Twitter, I saw how much SWAC alum love football, but I saw barely anyone even like remotely interested in women's basketball. And if they did, I wasn't following them. So if that was you, keep it up. But I know basketball. I played at an HBCU. Although we were in the MEAC, I want to represent my university. And so I saw it as an open lane where I'm a credible source to talk about these things. I'm knowledgeable. I can dissect teams. I can dissect players at a high level, but make it digestible for the average viewer who may not know all the terminology. And then I just hit the ground running. Once I made the first few videos, the feedback I was getting was so good that people were like, keep going. And so when I reached out to Coach Simmons at Grambling, she was like, I'd love to do an interview. Like, let's do it. And all the coaches that I've reached out to, they want that because they want the representation of their programs. They want people going hard for their teams. And so it just kind of felt like an open lane that not a lot of people are in. And also, like, as we know, HBCU sports, of course, there's been a turn over the years of people being more aware of HBCUs, paying more attention, and giving them the respect they deserve. But oftentimes, women's sports kind of fall at the bottom half of that. And so I want to do my part in giving these teams the recognition that they deserve, the shine they deserve, and whoever listens, listens. At least if one person, then one person becomes knowledgeable. But I want to do my part to make everyone aware of SWAC women's basketball.
I don't know if it was Marcus or Brian, but whoever had the idea to invite you to be a part of the program, boy, y'all get an A plus because I love it.
I don't even remember now. I feel like we've been talking to Liv for like months, and really it's only probably been maybe a month or so. But I don't even remember. I'm gonna give credit to Marcus. Marcus is he's the one that finds people, and so I give kudos to Marcus. Marcus, you want to go ahead and take the credit on this one?
Sure.
All right, what do you got, Marcus? Let's get into it.
Well, actually, a little bit of Liv's previous answer kind of went at the question I was going to ask a little bit, but I was just curious because you hit the ground running. I was thinking we're going to have to sign you to an exclusive contract so nobody else try to steal you from us. But what prompted you to just go out and reach out to the coaches? And overall, it sounds as though the reception has been pretty good. And did you anticipate having any challenges, or did you just by your sheer power of your personality draw them in?
Well, when I first when I was paying attention to the SWAC Media Day for women's basketball, I was tweeting about it, and people were liking it and saying how much they were enjoying it because it's a very long segment, and most people don't want to sit there and watch every single school. They just want to watch theirs, but I'm interested. And once coaches started liking it, I started following them and then just messaging them like, hey, I'd love to talk to get the inside deets on your team, like ask you more in-depth questions. They were all for it. And really, like, HBCU alum are just so invested in their schools that they want people to rally behind their teams. And so that's why the support came, whether it's a video for like FAMU or Mississippi Valley or Alabama A&M or Jackson State, like all their alum get on those videos and they just promote them. And then as my videos on Twitter started going, people started asking me questions like, oh, are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? And so I just was like, if people want it, I can provide it. I can give those details. And it's just people are like buying into me and like really supporting what I'm doing. And so it makes me like happy and want to do it even more and provide high quality content and information for them.
Mm-hmm. And I guess as a follow-up to that, actually one of the questions I was going to ask, how can we, especially the Southern-based HBCUs that primarily focus on football, and it's more of a regional issue because it seems like maybe in the Midwest and the Mid-Atlantic, there is a lot more of a cultural focus on basketball. How can we improve our overall basketball fandom, if you will, and specifically for women's sports? And this kind of came up, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. It's either just before or just after the COVID year, where the NCAA was called out for their disparity in treatment and all the facilities for the women's Final Four over the women's tournament versus the men's. Not necessarily focusing on that, but specifically for HBCUs, how can we improve our fandom? And I know there's some in pockets like Jackson State. They've had a dominant team so when you're winning, it's not hard, but how can we overall improve the fan support and get it to a decent level for the women's basketball?
Yeah, so like you said, winning programs have fans that buy in, but on the other end of that, if your program isn't winning, it's indicative of a lot of things, but like not seeing people in the stands supporting you, not seeing your school support you at games, it can be very like, what are we doing? And so like go to games. If you can get to games, obviously everyone doesn't live where they graduated from, but go to games. When you see like tweets and videos, like them, retweet them, just support in any way that you can. Like the same way that people are talking about football on Twitter, talk the same way about basketball. Like you see the players, tweet about them, like their content, all those things. And I think specifically about FAMU with Coach Gordon, we will definitely see a lot bigger changes coming from that. You know, she's such a she was a high level player. She coming from Tennessee, she's a Hall of Famer, like she played USA basketball, like she's the real deal. And so I feel like she's going to bring another side out of the program that will make it exciting again and make people want to attend. But you just have to go. You have to support, you have to watch any way that, and especially with social media, likes and retweets go a long way, because if you can't be there, someone else may be able to watch online if you can't be there. So it's just the same things that people do when the women's basketball is on ESPN Plus. Watch. It's just doing your part or encouraging other people to go. And so I hope that all the other sports support each other and not just support football or men's basketball, but like our women's softball team is very good. Our volleyball team is very good. So go to games. It's really that simple.
All right.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
all right. So Liv, I'm gonna, look, I hate to say this, okay, but I feel like the last 3 years I have been a women's basketball former Coach Pillow apologist for the last 3-4 years. These guys will all tell you, that, oh, Brian, you're making excuses, because I looked at what happened to this program the year of COVID, when you were supposed to have a season, it got canceled, and everything from there was a challenge. Now we go into this new era with Coach Gordon. So I'd like to get your perspective on what you saw from the previous 3 years to this. What do you think this breath of fresh air with Coach Gordon and a new regime, what do you think this will do for the program?
Yeah, so I think the initial shift really happened after 2015-2016 season. That was the last winning season for women's basketball, and that's when the head coach at the time left, the whole coaching staff left, and they brought new people in. And anytime you have a drastic coaching change where everyone's leaving, players are going to leave, culture changes, system changes. What I noticed specifically even last year, it felt to me like a lot of one-on-one basketball. It wasn't very team oriented. It was a lot of, we're passing it to one player who, yes, Dylan Horton was very talented and could score the ball, but it oftentimes was just give her the ball, stand there and watch and see what she could do. And that's why they struggled, because you can't just rely on one person to get a bucket, and just stand there. And so I think this year with Coach Gordon coming in, even from what she said in multiple interviews in her SWAC media day, she's very understanding that you will not find a player like her. And I like that. She was bragging on herself, but she said she knows how to coach players to be like her, because it's not easy now to find players who are dogs on both ends, who are pure, like just scores and want to get after it and have that high basketball IQ. Like the game of basketball has really changed. And I think the culture and how she played basketball, that is what she's going to implement. And that's what's going to look different. It's not going to be everyone for themselves. It's going to be, this is what we're doing. You're going to do it. And we're going to change what FAMU's women's basketball is known for. And she said she's bringing it back to fundamentals. From her mouth, she said they've lacked that the past few years, and she wants to bring it back. And also, they suffered a few injuries last year as well, of key players who could have made bigger impacts but got down to injuries. So I think if everyone stays healthy and they really buy into her system and her culture, that they will win more games than they did last year, especially in conference play.
And Liv, I wanted to follow up with something that you mentioned in response to Brian. You mentioned that there's a lot of one-on-one. Now, I want to ask, because I'm of a different generation and we probably represent different generations here, but is that one-on-one play more symbolic of the mentality of the players that are in college now? And how do you combat that if there is a more of a focus on, well, let me ask it a different way. There is a perception that there may be more me focused with this generation and it may not be any different. But how do we go about making sure that it doesn't devolve to that? And
Yeah, in my opinion, real hoopers just want to get the W. Sometimes you're hot, the people who are going to score on a nightly basis, but that really starts with the coaches setting that baseline of being like, this is a we, not a me. Like if someone's out there wilding, shooting 30 shots, missing everything, they're getting pulled because it shouldn't even get to that point. It's a culture.
Thank you. You hear that, Brian?
And
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And sometimes you have to do what you have to do and put the balls in your scorer hands. But if you're not building up the players surrounding your best scorers, they're not going to be putting themselves in position to score because you're not building them up to even want to take the shot, to even want to drive. And so when you set the culture of, yes, this is your role, like you need to establish roles in basketball, because otherwise everyone's going to be out there being like, I'm a scorer. Everyone's not a scorer at the end of the day. There's rebounders, there's defenders, there's people who can truly score. There's this thing of being, you're either like when people are like, oh, I'm a shooter. No, you're a volume shooter. You shoot 33s. Like, so there's a difference. If coaches go in and immediately at the beginning of the season establish roles, and of course roles can change as the season goes on, but if they're establishing those roles and being consistent in their communication, it should never get to a point of selfish basketball.
Well, speaking of scores, one of the things that I recall from those media days, the SWAC media days, Coach Gordon talking about Ariana Grizzle, who's the second team preseason, and that she's one of three main returners. I mean, this is almost a new squad, but she's one of the three. And I love the fact that she said she told Ariana, "Hey, I need you to bring some of that Power 5 Alabama former skill to this team, not just be a distributor, but also kind of be a scorer." Do you when you hear her say that, what's that mean for Grizzle? Are we going to see her possibly being more of a scoring point guard over a, say, distributing guard, which she was maybe more last year?
I think we will, especially because they only have 5 returners. They have 4 walk-ons, and then the rest of the 7 players are all brand new to FAMU. She's going to be put in a leadership role to step up, not only offensively, but defensively and in her communication. Being as there's different coaches coach players differently. So a player under one coach could have been like lower tier, been put in a different role. But what Coach Gordon sees in her is obviously, I need you to do more than just pass the ball. Like, she does come from Alabama. She is a good scorer. So it's going to be, that's obviously what Coach Gordon sees in the system, is her stepping up and being not just a facilitator, but getting a bucket when the team needs it. And I really do believe we will see her averaging more points because she will be getting more shots than she did last year.
Mm-hmm. Who are some of the other players that on this roster that you have your eyes on to make significant contributions to this team?
I'm really excited for Baltazar to come back. She battled injury last year, And I think she can be a really big piece of what FAMU can do. Anyone who watches SWAC women's basketball, and that's Skylar for anyone who's not aware of last names, anyone who watches SWAC women's basketball, most of the other teams have interior players who bang, they score, they get after it on a nightly basis. And I think that was a big piece that we were missing last year because she was injury prone. So I think if she's healthy and is in that inside all season long, I really think she's going to have a really good season and be a huge part on both ends of the floor. And I'm also excited. I'm not sure of what she's going to do with her or anything, but the freshman from Michigan, I'm really excited to see. She's the lone freshman. She's the only freshman on the team. So I'm really excited to see what she brings. From what I've seen, she's a scorer. She gets busy on the court. And so I really enjoy her versatility, and I'm excited to see. And then also, I think Zubarats needs to have a bigger season this year than she did last year. I thought last year she was very turnover prone, and that was an Achilles heel for this FAMU women's basketball team. They turned the ball over so much. It was crazy how much they turned it over. And so I think if they have better ball control and those three returners, and I hope she utilizes the freshmen, but of course, I don't know how preseason is going, what practice is looking like. I think that they will be good. They also have some veterans coming in. They have the grad student with Grizzle. They have 5 seniors, 4 juniors, 4 sophomores, and 1 freshman. They have 2 players transfers from Daytona State, a player from St. Petersburg College, a transfer from Middle Tennessee State. And then Morehead State is actually Zubarats' little sister. She transferred in. And then they have also a transfer from UNC Wilmington. All of which I'm assuming any transfer was coming in under the former coach, Coach Pillow, as when Coach Gordon came, she missed the transfer window. So I'm excited to see what they do. They have a super hard non-conference schedule, so it should be interesting to see how they pair against these teams. But those are the players I'm really excited to see how they step up within her system and for them to bring winning back to this program.
And that freshman that you're referring to, I just had her pulled up, Sydney Hendricks, from Farmington Hills, Michigan, West Bloomfield. I was chatting online with somebody, somebody that's close to the program, and she put me on to Sydney, and I went and watched the highlights of her. Oh boy,
she's bad.
She's bad. She gets buckets, and then to come to find out, she even got a little sister that she gets buckets too, and it's like, I hope she.
And her team won state title her junior year, and they lost in the finals her senior year. So West Bloomfield's balling in Michigan. I think I think they're Division 1. So I think they're the top competitive level.
Yeah. She's a 5'11" forward. So that's but yeah, no, she plays. She gets after it, and hopefully she'll see some time. And the one recruit that Coach Gordon did bring in, her very first recruit, was Olivia Delancey, a sophomore.
From college. Yep.
St. Petersburg College. And actually found out by watching on the 220 Club today, she is the daughter of Oteeman Sampson.
Oh.
Yeah, that's Oteeman's daughter.
Now
so,
Oteeman Delancey.
Yeah. So so definitely there's a little
we might have to explain Oteeman to Olivia. That's a little bit before her time.
Oh, come on. She's got to know who. That's part of the history of FAMU. No, I'm just messing. All right. Anyway. Let's go to the hold on, let me pull the graphics up here because I know I got some graphics here. Of course, there's some more graphics, of course, from Gordon at that media day. Of course, you can see with FAMU alum Tiffany Green, Coach Gordon, then Ariana, and then Skylar is to the far right. And always what is it? What is the thing that Coach Gordon said she was going to bring? Is it pressure?
Pressure.
Pressure.
Mhm.
Can that really? I saw the previous regime try pressure and talk about pressure. It didn't feel
Mhm.
like we had the roster for that kind of pressure. Um, where does it start? Does it start with just the type of players? Can you condition kids into that kind of style? What's your take on that when you hear that?
So this is the thing. You have to know your strength as a player. And I think that's where some of the younger generations struggle, is not being realistic with themselves. But if the coach is being realistic, you can pressure. It does come down to personnel and like if you have the guards and the forwards who can apply that. But you can even apply pressure without being full court. And so if you have the players who want to get after it, because defense is really about the want to defend. You don't need skill. Like, does being
Amen.
fast help? Yeah. Does being strong help? Yes. But it's a want to be out there and defend every single possession and get after it and have that dog mentality. So if she's been starting that from the second that she stepped on campus, and that's a prerequisite to get on the floor, I think that's what we will see this year, because Coach Gordon, every single interview, she does not play. She's not here to play games. Like, she is here to bring this program back and also to make a name for herself. It's a head coaching job. She wants to she doesn't want to be an all-time player, and then once she has her own team, it just like flop. So she's saying they're going to pressure, and I think it will be exciting watching that this year.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at that schedule here. There you can see the non-conference schedule there on the left. I circled previously the home games. I mean, I love the fact that we actually have home games
Mm-hmm.
in Lawson. That first game at Tennessee, what do you think? Liv, I tell you, if we had a budget, we'd send you to Tennessee for that game. If we had a budget, Liv, trust me. But what do you think the emotions are going to be like next Tuesday? The first game, Coach Gordon, who's a legend, a GOAT, one of the top 5 greatest in Tennessee ball women's basketball, and it's going to be an emotional night given some of the tragedies of former players in the program. What do you think that night is going to be for her, and how's that going to bleed down over to the players? How do you think that might bleed down to the players?
I think for her, it's going to be super emotional, being back where you playing for literally one of, if not the greatest coach ever to coach the game. It's going to be emotional for her. And especially because that is your first game, it's going to be high energy. I'm sure she's going to have mixed emotions. Like, yes, we want to beat them. They're not going there to just roll over and give them the W, but it's going to be emotional. And from what I've read, if the relationships have been built the way that they're being presented, they're going to want to go hard for their coach. Like, they're going to want to go out there and make her proud against Tennessee. If I saw my coach knowing her history, how much she's done at this school, when we're playing them, I'm going in there being like, it's no mercy. Like, that was every game, but especially tonight, I'm going hard for you because I'm going to show you, like, we're here for you. Like, we want to represent against your school the best way that we possibly can. So I feel like they're going to come out ready to have a dog fight. And especially because it's the first game, like, you want to set the tone. And so I feel like they're going to come out hard and want to play for her. And also, the first game you can get minutes that way because, again, not everyone's a scorer. But if you're out there doing all the other things that don't show up in the box score, that can earn you minutes too. And so I hope the bench has energy. I hope any alum who are around that area can get to the game to show her support. I think it's just going to be a high energy, like, environment for them to be a part of and be in.
I wanted to ask another question, Liv, if I may, and I want to jump in on anything that Kelvin had. I guess the two things that came to mind looking at this schedule, realistically for this first year, what does success look like?
Doing better than last year, which I think is very doable. So last year they went 4-14. They went 4-14 in the conference. 2 of those wins don't count me because Mississippi Valley didn't win a game in the conference. Like those were the gimme games for everyone. But hindsight,
those count, Liv. Those count. Those count. Come on, don't do that. They count.
They count, but I'm just saying.
Tell the truth. Shane the devil.
They count. They count. Doggone it.
They went 6-23 overall. So I think if they win more than 4 games in conference play, that's a better season and they're moving in the right direction. I'm really like anxious to see is this is a really hard non-conference pre-schedule. And when doing that, which every SWAC school does that, every HBCU school usually does that because most of the time it's a money game. And that's just the truth. We all know that. Those games can either make or break a team because if you're out there, if it ends up it not being a close game, like it can change dynamics of team, it can change chemistry. And being as though there is a lot of new players playing against the SECs, like all those teams, it can be very hard to build chemistry. I'm not saying it can't be done, but it can be very challenging. So I'm hoping the game specifically like against Detroit Mercy, I know Jacksonville is going to be a tough one because they have a new coach in Special Jennings, and she was at Mount Verde. She's a great coach.
Yes. Oh man, she gets after it. She's a good coach. She's a very good coach. Yeah.
And so I'm hoping specifically like the Detroit Mercy game, like the Middle Tennessee game, I think is a winnable game. Detroit Mercy is a winnable game. I think if they can pick up 1 to 2 wins in the non-conference, it will set the tone for conference play. But the conference this year it's going to be a battle every single night. The transfers that have came in, the players who are back off of injury, like it's the freshmen who have been brought. It's going to be a battle every night. But if they win 5 games, hey, we're moving in the right direction. So
5 conference games.
Yes, 5 conference games.
All right. See, I'm of the thought I'm looking at this in 2 different segments, right? I feel like like you just said, there's got to be at least 2 to 3 because I thought the last year we were competitive in some of the non-Power 5 games and we just didn't win those. We were close. Like we a couple of those we probably should have won, but it was what it was. But I look at like you said, Middle Tennessee, Sam Houston, Detroit Mercy. I'm not familiar with UNF, but I feel like between UNF and South Alabama, and and look, I know JU. I know Coach Jennings she did her thing at Mount Vernon, but JU, they're JU. We're FAMU. I'm like those are games that's what we're going to compare ourselves to, and even close losses. I feel like close losses you'll come out saying, okay, that's positive. I just don't know. Florida usually has strong teams. I don't know what Michigan and Houston are like, and Cal. So I don't know to what spectrum of the Power 5 or FBS, not FBS, but you know what I'm saying, the Power Elite Conference, Big Ten, Pac-10, SEC. I don't know where those teams are, but I guess we'll find out shortly, right?
Generally, you're going to have size and you're going to have shooting.
Yep.
With that,
we got size. I mean, we
size that can actually play. I mean, can run the court.
Well,
can take passes in the lane. Can finish at the basket. Skill size.
I will say we don't know what we don't know till they roll the balls out because at the end of the day, teams we don't always know what everyone's coming with. Michigan's going to have some big girls. Any team that's up in the Midwest, I'm telling you right now, is going to have big girls and some real scores. Like they have a few girls from Minnesota on there that they get busy. So I think you're right. If they can compete in these games and stay within, we want to win. That's always the goal. Don't ever go into a game thinking you're going to lose. But if you can be competitive, stay within close range, or even get the W, that is a plus. So, yes.
Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. come back, Liv, hang in with us, and let's kind of talk about the rest of the SWAC women's. Kelvin's going to reach out, text Coach McCullum. Obviously, we know he might be busy, so we don't know what his time frame is, but I think we may be able to get in another segment, Liv, and kind of just talk about the SWAC overall. We'll kind of flash up the standings and so up, and we'll kind of see what it looks like for everybody. So everybody hang in there, a short break, and then we'll come back more with Olivia, and we'll talk more about our FAMU women's team in the SWAC right after these messages right here on the ONG Strike Zone.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
As technology continues to bring changes to the world of education, it's time we also reimagine teacher professional development. Gone are the days of one-size-fits-all learning that can only be accessed at a specific time and place. The Stride PD Center is an on-demand library of mobile-friendly courses that allow educators to learn anytime and anywhere. Our dynamic courses provide bite-sized learning and help educators advance their knowledge while also gaining professional development hours. The best professional development plans are those that include a level of flexibility and choice for educators. Whether you're a teacher, school, or district, visit us today to take charge of your learning.
All right, welcome back to the ONG Strike Zone. Brian, Kelvin, Marcus, Olivia, Antilla is joining us right now. And I know we got Coach McCullum in the weight room. We're going to have you stick around with Coach Mack. But let's kind of wrap up sort of a talk about the women here. And let's kind of show the preseason rankings here on the women's side. And, you know, I noticed here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 4 other schools outside of Jackson State got votes on the women's side. Give a little, you know, maybe a brief, as you can, maybe a little summary on what your take is on some of these teams that got first place votes. And is there anybody outside of Jackson State that you would say, you know, obviously we know Southern won it last year in the tournament, but who else outside of, you know, Jackson State do we need to keep our eyes on? Y'all just okay. Anyway, go ahead. I'm gonna keep quiet about Pine Bluff. Go ahead, Liv.
They already said it because it's University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. I'm telling you right now, they brought in some really talented transfers. They have Beck back, who was last year. She was preseason player of the year before she got injured. They have their guard from Virginia Tech, who was injured last year. What Coach Thornton has done with that program, people need to give their respect and give their props. She has made that program better every single year. And the fact that they got to the championship last game with what they had, and that was the first time in school history, I'm putting respect on it. I've said they're going to finish in the top 2, and I'm sticking by it. They're an extremely talented team. She is a great coach. They are a family. Like, they are going to be a team to be reckoned with this season. And then obviously you have to respect Southern. They won the SWAC tournament last year. I'm sorry.
Hey, while she taking that swig, don't be disrespecting my analysis, man. I know this. I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
The lady,
y'all,
listen to her. She's telling you what time it is.
I think some of y'all just be liking what Coach Diva be wearing, and y'all be getting
See
big
that? Why you gonna
eyed.
disrespect? Why you
I'm
gonna
not
disrespect my
disrespecting. I'm
basketball IQ, man?
Okay.
I done
Okay.
sat around
All
and watched a lot of basketball these last few seasons. I'm a season ticket holder. I don't watch every
I'll
team
put some
play at
respect on
FAMU
your name
because
then.
I'm
There
in
you go.
Tallahassee.
Well, see,
I
now
don't watch a lot of bad basketball.
yeah, I'm
I
sure
know
you
when I
have.
see some good basketball.
Yeah. I'm telling you right now, like they're loaded and they have talented players. They love their coach. They play as a team. They just want to win, and they're gonna they may make a push for one. And then so everyone has to respect Southern. They're the SWAC champs of the tournament last year. I don't think they're gonna finish second. They may even fall to 4 if you really want me to give my analysis.
Who's gonna fall to 4? Who?
Southern.
Oh yeah,
Southern.
okay. All right. I can see.
They're a team that they're blue collar. They just get after it. He openly says they don't have a girl, that they just care about which is great. It's cool. To me, they haven't shown anything outside of that. And obviously it works for them. But now people know what to do against them. And mind you, I want everyone to be very mindful. 8 teams last year finished 500. 4 teams finished 12-6. So it's a very competitive higher up regardless. But you have to respect Southern. I'm not even going to talk about Jackson State because everyone knows what it is when it comes to them in women's basketball. What Coach Reed has done, she's setting the standard for SWAC women's basketball. The only thing I will say, she said that last year they went into games lackadaisical. They've been taking winning for granted. So she's saying we will see a completely different team this year on how they approach games. So I'm interested to see how it changes, how it goes, because she said that they've been too comfortable. So now they're going to show teams what it's really about. So, and then I like Grambling. I know they have a brand new coach, but if anyone watched the interview, they're bought into her system. She was able to bring in her own players. Like she kept, I think, about like 4 to 5, and she cleaned house on everyone else and brought in her own players. I think that they will make the tournament and make a push. And then also I like Alabama A&M. I like how they play. Obviously, they're already a top ranked team to finish in the top 4. But I think this year is going to be very even. A lot of teams are going to be bringing it. Texas Southern, last year they had one of the youngest teams in the entire NCAA. So now with more experience the coach in the second year, we're going to see more playing. And although I predict them to finish last, and the SWAC has them predicted to finish last, I think Mississippi Valley will put up more of a fight this year because she cleaned house. She wasn't happy with nothing that happened last year. They kept one player. She brought in 15 new players, and one of them is John Morant's little sister. So he will probably pop out to a few games and show his support, but I think they will be way more competitive in games, and they will shock a few teams. I don't think they're going to go winless this year. They will win at least like 2 games in conference play.
Okay.
You don't agree?
Okay. I know winning is hard. And for me, it's Jackson State or bust. Until I see somebody that during the regular season can take out the big dogs. And I'm not talking about on a, that game in the tournament. And again, I have mixed feelings about the tournament anyway, because I always feel like look, if we want to see our HBCUs accomplish something in the NCAAs, then our regular season has to mean more than it does. And our best teams have to go. Usually, our best teams show they are the best teams in the regular season. In the tournament is where you get somebody who might stumble. You might have food poisoning. You might get sick, and I have thoughts about the tournament. I know the tournament is fun and for the fans and for the players, but I want the best representative to play. And a lot of times, I don't think we get that from the tournament. Just my take. So
I'm gonna give my 2 cents about that real quick.
Yeah, please, and then we'll get Coach in here. Go ahead.
You're gonna need to put some respect on Southern's name, because even if they beat them at the end of the day, if Jackson State, which their regular season record showed they were the best, but when it came down to it, they didn't win when it mattered most. They lost. Whether it was a buzzer beater, a fluke play, they lost. Southern deserved that. And we also had representation in not only the NCAA, but they respected Jackson State enough to send them to the WNIT, where they lost to Memphis in the first round. I get what you're saying, but if you're really the best, then you would win both. And I respect State's program. So I hope all you JSU people do not come at me, because I respect her. I respect but at the end of the day, when you roll those balls out, it's 0-0. And whichever dog wants to eat is going to eat. And they got eaten that game. So I respect Southern and what they did. Jackson State shouldn't have lost, but they did. So right now, we need to just put respect on Southern and be like, hey, they beat the team that no one else beat.
Well,
I got you. I got you, Liv. She said what she said.
She said what she said. Yes, she did. All right, let's bring in our head men's basketball coach, Coach McCullum. Coach, are you there with us?
Yes.
All right. Hey, Coach, how you doing this evening? I don't know if you heard a little bit of our banter there at the end, or more so my bad take, I guess, however you want to describe it, regarding the representation going into the tournament. Do you want to weigh in for a hot second on that topic of the conference tournament and what that really means and how that affects our performance when we get into the tournament? Oh, let me see. Okay, we got to wait on Coach. He's trying to get his signal squared away. So yeah, I mean it's look, I guess hold on, let's see, we got him. Hold on, let's see here. I think Coach is trying to get in here. All right, Coach, we got you now. There you go. You're looking good. How you doing this evening, Coach?
I'm good.
All right. I don't know if you heard my long-winded question there, Coach. Anyway, that had to do more so with the tournament. That's where we were kind of talking about the tournament and just the regular season versus the tournament, and sometimes the best, especially for mid majors, and I guess maybe that's where I was going. Mid majors, a lot of times you play 18, 19 games in the regular season, and then you get into the conference, and sometimes, look, you can have food poisoning, you can have a bad day, whatever. The bus may take long to pick you up, and then all of a sudden your team, which has been playing great all in the regular season, you have a bad night, then you're out, then you miss the tournament. I don't know. Hey, that's just basketball, or what's your you got any thoughts there?
Well, first of all, good evening, and thanks for having me. And as always,
yes, sir.
I really enjoy being on the show. Well, I think you hit it on the head, and simply put, the best team doesn't always win, and I don't even think that's debatable. The best team, the NBA and baseball World Series, you playing the best 4 out of 7, the cream's going to rise to the top. Mm-hmm. But in a 1 and out situation, the best team doesn't always win. And I mean, I can give you any number of examples. And so what makes that so difficult for, as you mentioned, most of the mid-majors and specifically the SWAC and the MEAC, we're a one bid league.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the day, you've got to win 3 straight games. Simply put, you've got to win 3 straight. And if you don't, I mean, again, nothing else matters. And let's take just the recent season. Texas Southern finished 8th.
Yeah.
And I know Johnny Jones better, have a better relationship with him than any of the other coaches in the SWAC. We just go back a long. We go back 30 years. And he was sincere when he said, hey, I don't worry about where we finish. I just want to get to Birmingham. Where we finish, it doesn't matter. Because at the end of the day, you got to win 3 straight games. So he won the SWAC tournament, finishing 8th. He won it winning the regular season title. He won it finishing 3rd or 4th.
Yeah, I got you.
And tournament play is different than regular season play.
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
I think that's another advantage that Texas Southern's enjoyed.
Yeah.
That they've won it for 3 consecutive years. So what that means, he's got returning players that have had tournament experience, and no one else in the league can say that.
Right. All right, let's talk about our Rattlers, your Rattlers, our Rattlers, this 23-24 squad, Coach. You've had about a good month and a half of practicing and watching these young men work. On paper, I like this team. What excites you about what you've seen from them in practice over the past month and a half?
Well, first of all, I like the chemistry that we have. I love the size. We've got more size than we've had during my tenure. And so when I look back at areas that we've fallen short in any given year, we haven't been able to match teams from a physicality standpoint. And so I think when you go out, you recruit, I think in any conference, you recruit, or if you professional teams, you draft or you trade in a manner to compete with the upper echelon, those teams that's at the top of the league. And so for us, that's been the area that I felt like we've lacked. Our strength, for the most part, has been on the perimeter. And when I think back to all of the all-conference players that we've had during my tenure here, my first year, one of them was a frontline guy, but with that exception, they all have been perimeter players. And so the teams that have caused us the most trouble, they've been bigger and they've been more physical. So that's the area primarily that we try to address in recruiting. And I feel strongly that we were able to do that.
Okay. Kelvin, go ahead.
Coach, last year's team was pretty good defensively, but struggled mightily offensively. This year's team, it's a lot of new players. So my question is, and I know you won't know for sure until we start to play and you get a feel of once the bullet's live, but what is what is going to be our identity? What do you expect from this team where we can, from game to game, we can lay our hat? This is what our team is going to look like.
Well, Kelvin, you sort of have an advantage over everyone else on this show from the standpoint, you know me a little bit. And so you know that if you don't defend, you aren't going to play. So the majority of my teams here have been good defensively. We've had two of the 6 years here. We were the best defensive team in the league. We've been twice top 20 nationally defensively, top 10 defending the three. So we were okay last year defensively, but we didn't have good guard play. And like I'm talking about the bigs that we have this year, the size, at the end of the day, if our guards don't play well, it's not going to matter. So we didn't have good chemistry last year, and we didn't have good guard play. And so you mentioned the new players. Yeah, we have 8 new players. We had 8 new players last year. And so one of the differences was, and I'll kind of give you the short version of this, we were able to have more of a normal recruiting class this year. From the standpoint, last year we were hamstrung by kind of the tail end of the violation aspect of the probation that FAMU is still on. So the athletic department is still on probation for another 3 or 4 years. But the penalty phase is now over. So last year, for example, each year in men's basketball, you allow 12 official campus visits. Because of the violations, we only had 4. So as competitive as recruiting is, if you say, okay, you don't have any NIL money, you don't have any cost of attendance, and now you're going to try to get a young man to come visit your campus and he's got to pay. Chances are, realistically, you kind of going to get a lesser product. You with me? And so, I mean, with no disrespect to the players we had last year, but we had 4 of the 8 players that we offered that were scholarship players never set foot on campus. And so just in and of itself, recruiting is very difficult anyway. It's not an exact science. And please know, I'm not making an excuse. We can talk till the cows come home about that. 35 to 40% of the NFL players are free agents. 14% of the NBA rosters last year were free agents. So if you weren't frequently making mistakes, while you got the 49ers trading Trey Lance, the number 3 overall pick, just 3 years ago, and you got the last player taken in the entire draft starting. So again, it's challenging enough in and of itself. But so last year was an extremely challenging situation because of the violations. This year was back to normal. We had all of our campus visits, and hopefully we made good decisions. We brought 8 players in for official visits. We got all 8. That's very, very rare for you to go 8 for 8. And I think one of the things that really helped our chemistry, we have Shannon Grant, who would be a go-to guy. He's 6'10", legit 6'10". He played around 275, came out of the transfer portal from Mercer. We brought him and Jadarius Eatman, who goes by JD. They're maybe three-fourths of an inch difference in the height. He's 6'9.5", 245, 250. I brought them in the exact same weekend for the official visit. Now that's rare. Normally you bring them in one weekend, the other weekend to try to keep them separated. I said, you know what? We're not going to do it that way. We're going to find out just how much they want to be here. We were up front with them. They did everything together on that visit. And we just said, hey, look, you need to go someplace where you're going to have someone your size to compete against. There's the possibility of injuries, which Shannon had surgery on his ankle at the end of Mercer's season last year. You got injury possibilities, you got foul trouble, you got all those things. So the fact that both of them obviously chose FAMU, I think that set the tone for the chemistry that this team has.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Marcus.
Good evening, Coach. I guess I have a quick question. That you mentioned that we have 8 players, new players coming in. How do you coalesce all those players, especially having the previous year's 8 players, and into a cohesive unit that you expect to be competitive in the SWAC?
Well, it's very challenging. You know, in men's basketball, 5 is considered a large class, and now you've got 8. It's quite challenging. So, what I'll say, while 8 is still a high number, it's not going to be unheard of in this new landscape of college athletics, or let me say, men's basketball and college football. It's not going to be. It's here to stay. And so the best example I can give you, Kansas State last year, in March or April, they hired a new basketball coach. Coach had been an assistant coach for close to 20 years, never been a head coach before. He brought in, 10, 11 new players. If I'm not mistaken, they advanced to the Elite 8.
Yes, sir.
So it can be done. It's more challenging. Here's another thing I think helps, guys. I think as coaches, and it would help too if fans would sort of try and see things differently. It's a new day, and you have to have a vision to be successful in college sports, college athletics, sports in general. You know, for example, you've got to recruit different every year. You have to recruit now as if, you know what, we're only going to have them for 1 year. How about that?
Wow.
That's scary. Okay, but that's where we are, because they can leave. They can transfer once without having to sit out. If they're a grad transfer, they can transfer twice. So you have to embrace the fact that the landscape, how we saw things, the approach that I took when I was hired here 6 years ago, no longer applicable. We have, of the 8 scholarship players, only 1 high school player. This is the first time, Kelvin, during my tenure here, that we did not bring a player in for official visit for homecoming. The first time ever. And again, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait until the spring. And there's just like you've had these scouting services, recruiting services for years and years. Now they got these services now for transfer portal. So you inform, even right now, the entire year, within 48 hours, when every time a player enters the transfer portal, And so you got that, and you all can't help but see what is done to high school sports, and it's unfortunate, but it's not going anywhere. It's impacted opportunities for high school players and to some degree junior college players. There were over 2,000 students last year who didn't get to go anywhere, put their name in the portal, and there wasn't an opportunity for them. So we're going to wait until the spring, and then at that point, we'll evaluate junior college players we've already begun looking at, and players from the transfer portal, players that can come in and play right now. Because the truth of the matter is, we really don't compete against a lot of high school players. And for the most part, those that do, they're the so-called blue chippers. And if you put, I'm not going to say that, I have to be careful, but if you twisted my arm, I don't think I could call the name of more than 2 freshmen from the SWAC last year. And again, it's just the impact of you feel you need to recruit players who are ready to help right now. And that spells the transfer portal. And so, Gary, there are different things that we can do with players you have occasional meals, that you can bring them together for an occasional meal. There's any number of things that you can do with your team to sort of kind of jumpstart and sort of build the chemistry. But a lot of it starts in the recruiting process in terms of kind of identifying a good fit. For example, one of the 4 players that we brought on an official visit last year's team was a bad fit. Was a very good student, was a hard worker, destroyed the locker room, destroyed it. And so what that says to me, I didn't do a good enough job of vetting him. It wasn't a good fit. And so he chose to put his name in the portal before I was going to tell him he needed to do so.
Gotcha.
And I'll say this, you've got a few coaches around philosophically want to continue to do it with high school players. And that's all well and good. Duke is one of the few that can do that successfully. Not that they wouldn't take a kid from the portal, but they're one of the few that can do that. But I think you see what's happening with some of these top-notch football players. I think you see what's going on with Clemson. Huh? I think we see. So he can continue. Yeah. He can continue to do it the way he's done it for the last 15 years, all he wants to. But all of those 4- and 5-star players he's bringing in, when they're 18 years old and they're going against 23-year-olds, they're going up against grown men. When you're 18, you ain't a grown man. And they can be blue chippers all they want to, but you go up against grown men, that makes a big difference. And so that's what you see happening, San Diego State last year had 2 6th-year guys, 3 5th-year guys.
Crazy.
One of the guys 26 years old.
Yeah.
And you think some hotshot high school 18-year-old guy, come on, you ain't gonna move the needle. That's the same thing happened with that Duke's team that went to lost with Zion Williamson. They were some bad guys, but they were all freshmen. They didn't care anything about Zion. Was 18 years old. So that's where we are today. And every year is going to be a challenge in terms of the transfer portal. Let me tell you one more thing. There has not been, you can go back 50 years, there has not been a better basketball recruiter over a consistent period of time than Leonard Hamilton. I'm talking all the way back when he was an assistant coach. He's a bad man. I'm just telling you, trust me, there ain't been one. You don't get hired as a 23-year-old coach from freaking Austin P to Kentucky. You got to be pretty bad. Okay?
All right.
And he told me he missed the boat. He didn't see, he missed this landscape, this change. He missed it by a year, and it's cost him.
Interesting. Look, let me throw it over to Liv. I'm curious about that. Maybe that's an offline question. I'm curious about the year and what that is. But let me go ahead and throw it over to our hoops correspondent, Coach Olivia Antilla. Olivia, you got up next. What do you got for Coach?
Hi, Coach. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Yeah.
So Calvin touched a little bit on the offensive woes of last year's season. With these two quote-unquote twin towers of what I've read in articles, are you seeing of using them in tandem on the offensive end? Or right now, of what you've seen in practice and in preseason, who is shining as those scorers or are going to step up on the offensive end and really bring the offensive power?
That's a very good question. The plan right now is to play them separate.
Okay.
And by the time we get to conference play, I would like to be able to play them together, maybe 10 minutes a game or so. So, you've got, first of all, I'm mindful of the caliber of talent that we're going to face here in the non-conference. For example, in 6 days, we opened up at Creighton. Creighton's in everybody's top 15 and most of the preseason top 10. They returned 3 starters from last year's Elite Eight group. And their center was the Big East Defensive Player of the Year last year. And so, but that's just an example, the caliber of players we'll go up against doing pre-conference play. But by the time we get to conference play, ideally, I would like to be able to play them together about 10, 12 minutes a game, which means in order to do that realistically, that's going to require us to play more zone defense. We're 90, 95% man-to-man.
Hmm.
This year, that may go 80, 85% man. Because I'm not one caught up in, well, we always done it this way. We always done it that way. No. I think as a good coaches, you adjust to your personnel. And oftentimes, invariably, someone would ask you, well, what are you going to do offensively this year? This could be July and August. And I say, I don't know yet. So until I have an idea based on the players we recruited. Now, if I return a great nucleus like we did our first year in the SWAC, of course I knew then.
Mm-hmm.
But that's rare that you return all 5 starters.
Right.
So with this group, we'll look to play more zone to sort of keep our bigs out of foul trouble, and also to be able to play both of them together. We also added improved perimeter shooting. That was an area that we needed to improve, and I feel strongly we did that. Now, the one high school player that we signed, he's a winner. Okay, KJ Parker from Polk County. Okay, and I say Polk County because he lists Lakeland as his home. He played as a freshman at Lakeland Kathleen. They weren't doing real well, so he moved over to Bartow. He started as a sophomore, averaged 14 a game, helped Bartow win the state championship. Interestingly, the best player on that team signed with Iona, Rick Pitino. Walter Clayton. Instead of following Rick Pitino to St. John's, he followed that NIL. All right, that NIL put them all the way back to Gainesville. So Walter Clayton will be the University of Florida starting point guard this year. But anyway, he and KJ Parker were backcourt mates. As a senior, he transferred to Winter Haven, and KJ hit the 3 that enabled Winter Haven to win the semifinal game. They lost in the state championship game to Columbus out of Miami, which has the Boozer twin sons.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not an overly athletic kid, but he's skilled and can really shoot the basketball. And if we started tomorrow, he's probably a little bit ahead of Love Bettis from Pensacola. He'd probably get the starting nod over Love Bettis, another player out of the transfer portal, transferred from North Carolina A&T, who was the starting point guard at Coffeyville Junior College in Kansas. It's part of won a national championship. But right now, this freshman is ahead of him. And the fact that we brought in, it tells you how ready to play he is. He just, sometimes kids who are overly athletic, they make more mistakes. They have to the speed of the game is a big problem. I don't care what level you're at. You go from one level to the next, basketball or football, speed of the game, speed of the game. KJ Park is not a great athlete, so the strength of his game is pace, which is how the game should be played. And so anyway, we that's another area that we improved in is perimeter shooting.
Nice. I love that. And then I just have one more question.
Sure.
I saw that you announced you brought on Coach Rory Spencer onto your staff.
Yes.
What is he going to bring to your staff this year that you haven't had, or how is he going to enhance your men's basketball program in his position as a new assistant coach?
Say what, you're on top of it.
That's why we got her, Coach. That's why we got her, Coach. That's why we signed her to the team, Coach. That's why we signed her to the team.
I should not be surprised. I should not be surprised. Well, let me say, first of all, I don't know that he'll give us anything that we didn't have. And I say this, and this is all honesty. We lost assistant coach by the name of Isaac Brown. Ike was a bad boy. Ike was extremely talented. I'm telling you. I hired him. His title was Director of Basketball Operations. But since we have one position short, one coach short, the person with that title doubles in charge of operations, but also able to coach on the floor. And so 3 years ago, I said to Little Hamilton, I said, my operation, my dobo is better than yours. And I didn't blink when I said it. I did not blink. Isaac Brown is just that talented. He's I think was he a third generation FAMUan, just very, very talented, and just family situations, recently married. So he relocated to Charleston. He took a job as a high school athletic director. And so you certainly, you can't fault someone when they make decisions involving family. That said, I got to know, met Rory a little over a year ago. He was assistant coach at Chattanooga State, and he brings energy, lots of energy, lots of enthusiasm. He's done quite a bit of work from an operational standpoint at Chattanooga State. He also brings experience of having played collegiately at Georgia Southern. He played overseas professionally for several years. He works with post players, with our inside players. Which is the same thing Ike did. And that's really going to free me up because I've been, Ike left the end of June and Rory's just starting his second week. That's a conversation for a different day. If you got any questions about that, I'll refer you to Kelvin Rozier. But anyway, so he's just starting his second week. So that's really going to free me up. I've been had to do that, which, by the way, that's my area of expertise. But when I'm locked in there, I can't oversee all the other areas and positions and everything. So Rory will work with the inside players. And then last but not least, he's born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. And Atlanta is a hotbed for recruiting. So he's right from the inner city of Atlanta, from Douglas High School. And, we, Florida, Alabama, Georgia. We kind of just go to Atlanta and kind of south. And so that's a big plus. So we've got a guy right from the ATL. So those are all pluses, and we're very fortunate to have it. I think I saw Gary put his hand up. I saw Gary do that.
Who? Where?
Yeah.
Who? Marcus?
I'm sorry, Marcus.
Marcus heard ATL, and he's from ATL. So.
I was gonna say, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forgot. Marcus, every time ATL is mentioned, I mean, anyway.
Well, trust me, it's legit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We got some hoopers down there in Orlando too, Coach. Don't forget about that. Now we got we got some guys down in Orlando too. Don't forget about us, Coach.
You know what?
Hey,
go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No. You do.
All right. Hey, all right. I wanted to give you, before we close out with you tonight, I want to make sure we mention the fact that we all understand why we have the games where we go out to Creighton, Nebraska, play Florida, Iowa, Iowa State, UCF, South Carolina. I mean, that's 7 power 6 conference teams. But we get that game on November 20th in our backyard against Oregon at the Lawson Center. And we got a couple other home games in the non-conference. So I just want to give you a moment to talk about the importance of that Oregon game, what we need Rattler Nation to do, and just how those other home games really help the confidence or otherwise for this team prior to conference play.
Well, thank you so much for bringing that up. And I want to be careful how I phrase this. I wish we were in a situation where we could afford to publicize this game against Oregon the way that we should. I wish we'd have billboards eastbound and westbound on I-10. I wish we could do that, because I think it's a game that's very capable of selling out. It should be. And here's what I can tell you, no pun intended. If Oregon was playing FSU, it'd be a big draw. Mm-hmm. Oregon's one of the top 15 brands in college sports. That's not debatable.
Right.
And so, simply put, it's historical in every sense. Having Oregon come to the pit, come to FAMU's campus, is historical. And so we owe just all of the gratitude to Commissioner Charles McCullum for helping to put that together, as well as the Pac-12 leadership and commissioners. Again, no other conferences have been willing to do that. And so when I say it's historical, not only from a basketball, having a predominantly white institution come to our campus, but culturally. So, we played Oregon, twice prior to last year. Last year started this challenge. And so what they asked us about a month in advance, they wanted to do sort of a lecture. They wanted our team and staff to enlighten, to educate their students and student athletes on the culture of an HBCU. And so we did an hour-and-a-half session. And now Oregon's entire men's basketball staff was there, including the head coach. So here's what I can tell you. For Dana Altman to be at that seminar for an hour and a half, it was mandatory. Trust me. The Rob Mullen, the athletic director at Oregon, was pretty powerful. If you served on the football selection committee before, you're pretty freaking powerful. Okay, and he's done so. Okay, he and half of his staff attended. Okay, because they understand they want their student athletes to be enlightened on the culture of an HBCU. They rolled out the red carpet for us. I could not be more appreciative of that. And there's probably a handful of other schools in the country who has facilities comparable to theirs, but not more than a handful of others. But they invited our team over for breakfast, for brunch, where their players eat. And our players, anyway. So you got that part. Now this year, Oregon is bringing approximately 10 non-student athletes, 10 Black students to Oregon, to FAMU, to listen, observe, to learn as much as they can about what life is like in an HBCU. And so our director of academic support has already begun for the previous 2 months. She's been planning. Oregon did something about 3 or 4 years ago that unfortunately our governor has forbid. We no longer can have, the Florida state schools can no longer have a director of equity and inclusion. Oregon hired an associate athletic director for equity and inclusion in their athletic department. Okay, brother that played football at Syracuse. So anyway, he's bringing 10 students with him. That's not all. Cal plays at 4 o'clock, plays our women. I understand the Cal's team is coming down. They're flying into Orlando. They're going to be at the Classic, Kelvin. They'll see you at the Classic.
Okay.
And then they come. Again, so I think those are just examples of the impact, and the fact that you got administrators throughout the Pac-12. We're gonna say the Pac-12 for another few months. We'll be in more Pac-12. And I share it with our good friend Mickey Clayton yesterday. I said, and I want to be careful how I say this, but can you this won't come as a surprise to you. A lot of those teams out west, those California teams, I can go on and on. Other than going to Augusta to play in the Peach Jam, or going to Orlando to play in one of those, high profile events at Disney. Can you imagine when they go to Mississippi? Can you imagine?
It's a little different, Coach. It's a little different.
Hey, listen. Look, I'm telling you, I was born and raised in Birmingham, Alabama, and I'm just telling you how I felt when we playing Alcorn in Mississippi Valley. As a Black man, you can't help but be impacted. Mm-hmm. And I'm just keeping it real with you. Not only some of those players, some of those coaches. Mm-hmm. Good Lord. So this is quite interesting, quite an adventure, quite an opportunity. And again, I can go on and on and on about how impactful it is. And I just hope that the fans come out and show the support that it should. And again, one of the most embarrassing situations from my perspective, Grambling hosted Colorado last year. Beat Colorado.
Yes.
And you got less than 1,000 people at the game. Come on. You all know how hard it is to beat those teams?
Mm-hmm.
And 2 days later, Colorado goes and plays Tennessee, and not in Knoxville, played them in Nashville and beat Tennessee, who was a Sweet 16 team. So that was quite an accomplishment. So to have that type of accomplishment and not have a crowd there that the players and the department deserves, that's we're better than that.
Yeah.
Coach, we're gonna do everything we can on our end to continually talk about and promote that game, that doubleheader, that big day in Tallahassee. It'll be a great weekend because after we take care of that school over there in Daytona and bring back a classic victory, then we have a good Monday of hoops in the pit with our women and our men. We're gonna spend the next 19 days promoting the heck out of this doubleheader, Coach. We're gonna do our part. Not to say no one else isn't, but you're gonna get the effort from us in promoting that game. And I know there's some other folks from some other outlets and media folks who support FAMU athletics and our men and women's program. And I've already talked to them, and I know they're gonna do the same. So we're gonna try to pack the pit Monday night. November
Well, I
20th.
tell you, let me add this. It hadn't been quite as good since, there are a number of things that had not come back to normal, to how we knew them to be pre-COVID. And which on a number of levels understandable. But some of the best crowds we've had during my tenure here, a lot of it, the tone was set by the enthusiasm from the football team.
Yes, sir.
And I can tell you that's rare. Trust me. Because there are too many schools, there's a competition between men's basketball and football.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, you go to a frat party on campus. But in most, and I've worked at a lot of schools, and it's unusual to have the football players support men's basketball the way FAMU football players support us. And I could not be more appreciative of that. And the thing about it, first of all, Coach Simmons rarely misses a home basketball game. So he kind of sets the tone for that.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, and I noticed this Monday he was wearing FAMU men's basketball sweatshirt on his media calls. So he was everywhere on a couple of different shows, including with us, wearing that men's basketball sweatshirt. So he like you said, he's definitely a supporter of all the programs, and so
yes.
he makes sure to represent and make sure that that people know that we've got a lot of programs that are reaching for high goals and got chasing excellence, as we like to say. So
yeah.
All right, Coach. Hey, quick summary. Did anybody? You weren't participating in any of those coaches challenges tonight in the basketball thing, huh? How'd you do in those?
You know what? I had my newest assistant. I had Rory Spencer go out and compete.
Okay, you put him to work.
Hey, that sounds like hazing, Coach.
I put him to work. Hey, Kelvin? I thought about you. On Saturday. We tailgated, and we had some authentic Jamaican food catered in. I tell you what. Hey. When you get a chance, have Kelvin tell you about our trip to Montego Bay 4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago. Trip of a lifetime. Kelvin, it was so good, man. That's what it took me back to.
Well, all I know is my phone didn't ring.
Yeah. I was with it. I was next to him most of the day, Coach.
It must have been so good you ain't want to share.
We ran out.
It wasn't because of me.
All right, Coach. Let's see. The season starts next week, Tuesday. You guys are in Omaha, Nebraska, for a game against Creighton, and then Lincoln. When do you guys leave over the weekend? I'm assuming Saturday or Sunday, maybe.
No, we leave Monday.
Monday.
Yes,
Okay.
We'll leave Monday. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, safe travels to Nebraska, and we pray for good health. And hey, let's go get 2 dubs out there in Nebraska against Creighton and Nebraska. Shock the world, as other people might say. But we're looking forward to seeing what this team does this year, Coach.
Well, you know what? We've got nothing to lose. There's no pressure on us, and it's always a possibility.
Yes, indeed.
There's still David still beating Goliath. And,
yes, indeed.
We proved that in our win 4 years ago over Iowa State. So
yes, indeed.
Or just what keep in mind, the SWAC won 3 games last year.
Yeah, exactly.
In the challenge. So.
Yep. All right, Coach. Have a good night, and we'll talk later on down the road. Safe travels. Have a good weekend, and have a great start to the season. All right, Coach.
Hey guys,
Thanks,
thank
Coach,
you so
for
much
jumping
for having
on.
me. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to being on again.
Yes, indeed. All right. Take care, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Take care. Bye now.
All right. Hey, that's Coach McCullum. Liv jumping in there. Look at that, folks. Hey, I told you, Liv comes in with the questions. You guys at the chat rooms asking for it, and that's why she's a rock star, and that's why we're looking forward to all the coverage this season. Liv, you want to give us any final thoughts or on whether it be the men or the women's before we close out with our talk and for tonight?
Let her give
Just
us plugs
support.
too.
Yeah, for sure, definitely give those plugs. Yeah.
Support all your women's basketball team. I know he was talking about men's basketball, but I'm pro women's basketball. So make sure you get to a game. Encourage your friends, other alum. Now I'm going to start the activation, Pack the Pit for that SWAC Pac-12 series and try and partner with people, students that I know on campus to help spread the word, because no media stuff has gone out about it, no promotion. And I think we should be pushing that super hard. You can follow me on Twitter at Live Antilla, my TikTok at Live Antilla, or see all my longer basketball content on my YouTube page of Live for Hoops. So thank you guys. I love talking basketball. So be ready when we really get into the cream of the crop once game starts.
Yes, indeed. Live for
Looking forward
Hoops
to it.
is
Thank
the
you.
YouTube feed. We're looking forward to it. Thank you for your time tonight, Liv. We'll be in touch.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. Hey, awesome, fellas. Awesome. Love having Liv join us, Coach McCullum join us. Hopefully you guys appreciate it as well in the chats. Yeah, some of you guys kind of peeped. EA, I see you were listening. Yeah, good to see some of y'all in there listening, and we'll talk about. Yeah, we'll do more with more. That's what we're trying to say. But hey, you know what? A good campaign via social media can help generate the buzz, and it has to start now. Like I said, you got 3 weeks out. We got to start the Pack the Pit campaign. I was just thinking about what kind of flyers or what kind of things I can create and just run it from our social media pages, and just reminding people. I don't even know, Kelvin, are tickets on sale for that game yet? Do you know?
I do not know. I'm gonna try to re-up my season ticket package probably after the show. See if I can do it online and see.
Yeah. Well, I know what we'll do is we'll definitely try to take a look and see what we can find. If we can find out, we'll have to call the ticket office and find out are tickets available for that game.
Yeah, because we should have gotten email saying that the renew our package or tickets are available. You got to remember last year they didn't make season tickets available until right before conference game, and they only sold season tickets for the conference schedule. All of the out of conference games, the 2 or 3 that we usually do, they were game by game. You can only buy those tickets game by game.
Well, there is a stretch of 3 home games out of 4 that are at home. And I'm speaking to, we saw the women's schedule earlier. I don't have a night. I didn't copy a graphic for the men, but I'll just tell you that Monday, November 20th game, that's the Monday after the Florida Classic. That is a game at Lawson Center. The women play California. The men play Oregon. Then a week from that Wednesday, and this is the week after Thanksgiving, the men are at home against Albany State at 7 p.m. Wednesday, November 29th. Then the next week, the following Wednesday, they're on the road to Clinton, South Carolina to take on Presbyterian College. And then that Saturday, December 9th, they are home against Lemoyne Owen College, Division II team from the SIC. No time listed on that. And that's the schedule of home games. Then the non-conference, the men go out to Iowa for a pair of games. They actually play UCF on December 21st. That'll be a good game. Hopefully the Orlando, Central Florida Rattler Nation can be there for that game. And then after Christmas, Friday, December 29th, they travel up to Columbia, South Carolina to take on the University of South Carolina. And then what do you know? You move into January, and the conference season starts, of course, with the game on January 6th in Daytona Beach at Bethune-Cookman. So that's how. But at least, like I said, at least we got some non-conference games on the agenda. Okay. The SWAC schedule here for this upcoming weekend for football as we wrap up the show here. Action starts on Thursday, November 2nd, tomorrow, as Bethune-Cookman host Mississippi Valley State. That's a 6:30 kickoff. No, I'm sorry. Is it 6:30 or 7:30? Usually it's 7:30, but this says 6:30. So check your local listings. But it's in Daytona Beach. It's on ESPNU. Both teams are where in the standings? Anybody know offhand? Hold on, I'll pull it up right now. Don't worry. Ooh. Valley is 1-4 in conference play. Bethune is 0-5. Both teams are 1-7 overall. Who do you have winning this game, Kelvin?
Push.
Did you flip a coin? I thought you flipped a coin. I'm sorry. I didn't know what that was in the background. Coin.
I want to say, Bethune at home. This is one that they can get, but Valley has been pretty competitive the last couple of weeks. As much as we complain about how we struggled against Valley, JSU only put 31. Only put 21 up against them up there in Valley. But they're away from Valley. I'm gonna be a homer and go with Bethune.
Bethune has lost 6 straight. One of 2 schools in the SWAC that have not won a conference game. The other is Arkansas Pine Bluff. They too are 1-7. Marcus, who you got?
I'm gonna go with BCU on this one.
Okay. Ashton says Bethune has been more competitive in their losses. Interesting. Yeah, you could say that definitely. They basically gave a game away against Texas Southern, probably. Yeah, I'm gonna go Bethune as well. I'm gonna stay in state. All right. Here's that SWAC schedule that we talked about. I'm going by order of kickoff. So even though this is probably the highlight feature game of the day, it is kicking off at 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 Central. Alcorn State hosting Southern. Both teams are sitting at 4-1 in first place in the West. Both of them are 5-3 overall. Somebody clearly is going to have an advantage with 2 games remaining. Who do you got, Kelvin?
This is a toss-em game. I'm rooting for Southern because I want them to win the West. I predicted Alcorn to win the West, though. So I'm torn. I am going with Alcorn State. Southern has struggled offensively too much for me to pick them to go on the road and beat Alcorn in Alcorn. So,
Marcus, who do you like?
Same. I'm gonna go with the home team.
Make it a clean sweep. Alcorn State to win. You can listen to that game on the Alcorn State Sports Radio Network with my good friend Charles Edmond calling that game. So that'll be interesting. Alcorn could move to a game advantage over Southern, Grambling, and Prairie View. I forgot who was Alcorn's one loss to? You recall off the top?
Wasn't it Grambling? Because they beat Prairie View, right?
They lost to Prairie View.
Is Grambling or Prairie View?
I know it's one of those. It was a comeback, but I just don't remember.
They beat Grambling by a point. That was at the end of the fourth quarter. They lost to Prairie View on a field goal.
Yeah,
that was near the beginning of the year, I think.
Both games were in Lorman. Within a week of 2 weeks, 2 weeks apart. So both games were at Lorman. So, and then the rest of that schedule, they've got Texas Southern, and then they got Jackson State the last week of the season. So, yeah, interesting.
They still got some work to do. That is a tough way to finish the season.
Well,
have Southern, Texas Southern, and JSU back to back.
Don't forget,
somebody gonna get them.
Southern's in that stretch now where they're at Alcorn, then they play Prairie View, and then they play, of course, Grambling in the Bayou. So,
somebody gonna get them too. They ain't gonna win all 3.
And Southern has won 3 games in a row since the FAMU loss. So,
look who they played.
Yeah, I know. Don't shoot the messenger. Okay, Jackson State hosting Texas Southern. 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 Central. That game is on ESPN Plus. Who do you like in this one, Kelvin?
Jackson State at home.
Marcus?
Same. Going all home team.
Make it a clean sweep. I'll take Jackson State at home. The other 3 o'clock Eastern, 2 Central kickoff is Prairie View hosting UAPB. Prairie View, this game is on HBCU Go. Prairie View has lost 2 in a row, and they've been outscored 75-7.
Prairie View
in their last games. Are you really going Prairie View?
Pine Bluff.
That was your team about 4 weeks ago.
They lost Kelvin's trust.
That was your team 4 weeks ago.
Yeah. But that was different.
These are probably teams that are playing very much alike right now, probably. Who are you taking, Marcus?
Where are they? They're playing in Prairie View, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Panthers. I'm gonna take the home team. Yeah, plus I think they're probably smarting after leaving Florida.
I thought they would have been smart enough to get shut out by Houston Christian. I'm taking UAPB on the road. I'm just saying. I mean, look. I mean that Prairie View looked like a team.
Hey, it's that time of year where crazy stuff like that happens.
It's that time of year where teams close the book,
especially on the West.
Yes, teams close the book and say we are done. We're ready to go, bag it up, and let's get out of here. 1, 2, 3 Cancun or wherever you're gonna go for Christmas break. That to me looks like Prairie View. So I'm gonna take UAPB. This might be the one time that I actually go Oppo Kelvin. I'm gonna take UAPB to get the win this time. What the heck?
All right, you take that L.
All right. We'll see. Alabama State hosting Grambling. This is a top 10 matchup. 2 4-4 teams.
In Mobile?
Obviously, it is in Mobile, Alabama. Yeah, I forgot the name of the classic. It's at the Lee Peebles Stadium.
Okay, Lad Peebles.
Lad Peoples, thank you. 5 Eastern, 4 Central. No TV listed, so I'm not really sure who is broadcasting that game, but it is Alabama State's home game, or they're the home team. But who knows? There's a promoter in charge of it. So what do you guys think? This is an interesting matchup. Grambling and Alabama State. Who do you got, Kelvin?
I think Alabama State got that old Mo on their side now. So I'm going with Alabama State.
Marcus?
I don't know. It's a toss-up for me. I'm just going to Grambling because their offense looked pretty good a couple weeks ago, but it's been a little iffy the last couple weeks.
Hey, Brian, let me reverse. I just thought about it. The classic, what they just played in the classic, big game, a lot of emotion. I'm going to go with Grambling.
Mm-hmm. Now you're starting to think about it. Now you're starting to think right. I'm sorry. So what were you saying, Marcus? Who were you picking?
Grambling.
Yeah, see now we're all on Grambling's side now. See, I was thinking the same thing. Alabama State gets the big classic win. Let me go Oppo, the team that just had the big win, knocking out Alabama A&M's chances at having a shot at the SWAC East. Grambling's still playing for something, still playing for an opportunity over in the West. So we're gonna go with that. Okay, time for bold predictions. FAMU traveling to Alabama A&M. Last week, I remember I had Jamarie Shareed with a touchdown and a special teams. He only got the receiving touchdown, so I was like 50% there. Do you guys recall your bold predictions from a week ago? And if so,
mine was a shutout.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, man,
close.
You just missed it.
Close. Yeah, you just missed it by a Moss touchdown. The kid got mossed. BJ Bowler got mossed the one time.
Kendall,
excuse me. Thank you, Kendall.
I don't remember mine.
You don't remember yours?
Mm-mm.
All right, so here we go. Let's go bold predictions here. Obviously, I think we all are. We think FAMU will go on the road and get a win. But what's your bold prediction for this one, Kelvin?
I'm gonna predict. I think this is gonna be a shootout a little bit early. I think the Dark Cloud defense gonna shut them down second quarter, rest of the game. But I think they may put up some points, maybe because of a special teams play, punt return, pass here or there. So because of that, we're gonna have to continue to score. I'm gonna say we get a 50 piece.
Oh, okay.
That's right. I said what I said.
You said it. A 50 burger. Good Lord. Okay.
Bold prediction.
It is bold. It is bold.
Yeah.
Marcus, you got anything bolder than that?
No, mine's gonna be like tame compared to that. I'm gonna say a Jeremy Musa rushing touchdown.
Now does a tush push? Are you
Yeah,
going
that
for a
ain't
tush push, or
bold.
No, I'm gonna go for something. No, I'm no quarterback sneak. I think he's gonna.
He's 2 yards or more. 2 yards or more.
Yep.
All right, 2 yards or more. Jeremy Musa rushing touchdown. I like that. I like that. Okay. How about I've been thinking about, defensively, us performing there. And this feels like a game where somebody up front might get like a scoop and score. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna look to Anthony Dunn to give me now. Watch what I do here. 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, and a scoop and score. I'm predicting a big day for Anthony Dunn. Now, again, I'm calling 2. I'm throwing a lot out here. Right, this feels like Kelvin's 50 piece right here. This is about as bold as this is. I'm getting one guy going ham on Alabama A&M. 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, forced fumble, and a scoop and score, all by Anthony Dunn. And when he does it, I just want y'all to, I want to see flowers. I want to see rose petals. Y'all tossing rose petals from your living rooms when that happens.
The king of Zumanda.
Yes. I am the king of Zumanda.
Hey, that's why I chose my 50 piece, to be honest. I'm including, a special team score and a defensive score. So yeah.
Well, yeah, that's
I'm
what
with
you
you.
should say. That's what you should say. Okay. We have Marcus. We have no plans right now to do a watch party, although I don't know what your schedule's like. If you want to try to put one, we might try to do one on the. Obviously, we're not going to use our YouTube page, but we're going to try to use our the same program we did for the Southern game. We can work on that on the back end if you want.
Yeah, we can give it a whirl because I'll be watching it. I'll be home.
Okay. Well, then, hey, let's be looking out for information on a watch party that you could be in. We probably will ask for a small donation to join because it is to be able to do it. It's a little expensive, but we're not going to beat you over the head. Nothing more than a can of soda at the convenience store, and not out of the fountain, but out of the case. So it won't be too much. So hopefully you guys can support that. Kelvin will be on location in Huntsville, Alabama. I thought I was going to be broadcasting the game of the week in Columbia, South Carolina. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen for me. So I will be probably up the road in Jacksonville instead. So at least that's what I'm being told. I don't know if that will hold true or not, but at least that's what I was told today. A little disappointed, but I may get a chance to join Marcus a little bit in that watch party. So
all right.
Yeah, I may be able to join you for a little bit on that. Hey, we appreciate everybody for joining us tonight, especially Olivia Antilla. We really hope that you guys follow her on social media. If you're a TikTok person, especially on X, and go check out the YouTube page, Live for Hoops. She'll be giving us the skinny on FAMU basketball, especially FAMU women's basketball, and even some SWAC hoops. But she's a good one, man. Rising star in the game, and so we're glad
strong content.
Yeah, so we're glad to have her join the team. And I'm serious. I wish I did have some money. If we had some money in the bank to send her to Tennessee, because the coverage of the Tennessee game for the women, that's going to be an emotional game. It really is. And if you haven't been following kind of the stories in the news regarding the Tennessee former Tennessee players that have passed over the past year. One very recently, about a couple of weeks ago, matter of fact. That game, there's going to be a lot of emotion in that game, season opener. And so thoughts and prayers are going to be with Coach Gordon and that team. And I'd love to see them just play great and just really, show her the kind of love and respect. So I'm expecting a good game from FAMU up there, but I wish we could be there to see it and cover it. It will be on ESPN Plus. So I don't know. Maybe we'll do a watch party on Tuesday night. We'll do a women's basketball watch party. Who knows? Yeah, there's a thought. There's a thought. And then of course, Coach McCullum, man, he's solid. He's gold. We appreciate him coming on and joining us as well. Yes, shocking news today. South Carolina State's AD resigned. I wonder if that will have any effect on that game for next season. Let me stop.
For next season? I thought you meant the game this week.
Should I not mention that? Should I not? Is that contract already signed?
Yeah, contract is signed. So
is it? The ink's dry? The ink's dry on that one? Okay. Just curious.
Yeah, but plus, even if the
and
ink were to dry up.
They named Buddy as the interim AD, and there's a search that going on. So I'm trying to read between the lines and see what that means, because I know there was an internal candidate on staff that everybody says he's pushing, and then of course you got Chennis Berry out there who probably is the obvious choice, but I'm not sure how the South Carolina State faithful are about him. But to me, it seems like a good fit and a no-brainer. So I'm watching this one to see the politics on it.
The two best programs are in the same city of Columbia, South Carolina, between Allen and Benedict. Teddy Keaton of Allen, Chennis Berry of Benedict, both of them should be. Now it'll be interesting, like you said, when the former AD Keisha Campbell, I think that's her name.
Yes.
She was interim, but I think a lot of people.
But she's an alum, and she had, from all I could tell, she was doing well, and is well liked. For her to resign.
Yeah, that tells you
something going on.
Hey, good for her, because she realized that something wasn't right and it didn't smell right, and so hey, get out while you can, and then so maybe it'll force some changes up there. So props to her for making that bold move. But
and actually, I decided not to on Monday when we had Coach Simmons on, but I was going to ask him, what's the likelihood, since you and Chennis talk once a week, that y'all be coaching against each other come September 2024?
Ooh, yeah. That's a loaded question mark.
Yeah, it was a long day. I didn't want to tire him out. Plus, I didn't want to put him on the spot.
You weren't gonna get no answer on that one anyway.
Yeah, I know. I was gonna say.
Yeah, that's a loaded one.
I would have asked, what's the probability? So he could have put a number to it.
Yeah,
I know he probably would have just smiled and said, "I don't know. I'm focused on Alabama A&M."
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, we'll chat offline, folks. You can always hit us up: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at ONG StrikeZone. You see our individual Twitter handles there. You make sure to follow us. You can find the guys right there. Marcus at Decatur_G, Kelvin at Rozier Kelvin, and me. You can find me at DRB365. You hit us up. We'll answer. We always reply. And then, of course, make sure you're following the Black College Sports Network at MyJBN1. Find all of our shows on the BCSN Pod Zone. Podcast versions of all of our shows: Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, all of those places that you go and download and listen to podcasts, you can find us there. That's it. We are thankful for you, and we will see you this weekend, maybe Monday for a post-game reaction show. I don't know, but stay tuned. Hit the like button, hit the bell so you're subscribed. Make sure you're following us, and then you'll get the notifications on when the show is. All right. So for Kelvin, Marcus, I'm Brian. Thank you guys for watching the ONG Strike Zone. Peace out. Rattler Nation. Strike. Strike. And strike again up there in Huntsville. Good night now.
That's right.
Thank you.